You will recall from the module on the internal rate of return that for independent projects, where all of the project's negative cash flows precede its positive cash flows, the internal rate of return rule gives the same decision as NPV. Having defined different types of projects, we're now in a position to consider why this clause is relevant. In order to make a decision about mutually exclusive projects, we need to pick the project with the highest net present value, and therefore we need to rank them. This may result in a difference between the recommendation of the NPV and the internal rate of return rules. The NPV evaluation technique gives us a dollar figure, the number of dollars that the firm will be better off. The internal rate of return method gives us a percentage return on investment in the project. And this difference between the methods can result in a problem if we try and use the internal rate of return decision rule. We can illustrate that with an example. Calculate the NPV and the internal rate of return of the following projects, assuming a cost of capital of 12%. I've already stated in the previous module that you do not need to calculate the internal rate of return for projects with more than one future cash flow. However, you're welcome to have a go at it if you like. It is worthwhile to use this opportunity to practice calculating the NPV. So here is the NPV formula for a project with 3 future cash flows. This first version can apply to any situation. The second one is applicable in this case. Because the future cash flows are constant, we can treat them as an annuity. So what is the NPV of projects A and B? The NPV of project A is $441 and for B it's $201. The internal rate of return for project A 36.3% and project B 23.4%. So which project should we select? The answer is clearly project A because it has a higher NPV and a higher internal rate of return. So both methods are in agreement. But what happens if one of the project is a different scale to the other one? These are the cash flows for the same projects, but project B is 5 times as large as it was before. Let's once again calculate the NPV of these two projects. The NPV of project A clearly hasn't changed because nothing about the project has changed, $441. But because project B is 5 times as large, its NPV is 5 times as large, $1,005 instead of $201. The internal rate of return stays constant no matter how large the project is. So which project should we undertake? The answer is not simple because the NPV and the internal rate of return rules are giving us different recommendations. Under the internal rate of return rule, A is still the best project. But because the projects are of different scale or size, project B is now the best project based on net present value. This is the problem when it comes to mutually exclusive projects that are different in scale. The internal rate of return may give an incorrect ranking and therefore should be avoided in this situation. The NPV method tells us exactly how many dollars we will be better off if we undertake a project, and since the goal of capital budgeting and financial management is to maximize the value of the firm, the NPV method is the most reliable in this situation.